So I have been really impressed with how much you guys have been digging deeper into ways that you can elaborate your claims. We've learned quite a few strategies so far. Depending on the topic or the genre that you're working on, sometimes it is going to be appropriate to elaborate by voicing your own opinion or your take on a certain topic. This is especially true when you're debating or writing a persuasive or argumentative essay. You may certainly express your opinions or thoughts and show your voice when you're acing a topic. So, by the end of this lesson, your goal is to be able to know when and how to elaborate your thinking by using your own opinion. It is important to remember before we go any further that the goal of elaborating effectively is not to repeat your answer or your evidence, but rather to make the evidence more clear. In order to avoid this, if you're someone who is struggling with repeating your answer, or repeating your evidence, try not including any of the same words that you've included in your answer or your citation of evidence. Avoid all of the words altogether. This will help so that you're not repeating yourself. In this strategy, stating your opinion will be extremely powerful for elaborating. You will essentially make a claim or pick a side to the question. So these are the types of questions that ask you, do you agree or not agree? Yes or no. So your A will be you making a claim. Your C will be you stating a fact. Remember, a fact is something that can be proven, it can be seen, it can be sealed in a bag. Then you're going to elaborate with your own opinion. You're going to give your opinion on the evidence that you provided. So let's take a look at an example. Mrs. Atea is the best teacher in the school. That's a claim. I've said she is something. Now I'm going to give some evidence, something that I can seal in the bag. Because of her, my grades are now higher than they ever were. I can definitely print out my grades from now versus my grades from back then and show the difference. That's clearly evidence that I can seal in a bag. It is a fact. Now I'm going to elaborate with my own opinion about my evidence. Please make sure that this is your opinion about the evidence that you provided, not just your opinion in general on the topic. It has to connect to your evidence that you provided. So I write, in my opinion, if you have a teacher who can help raise your grades, that is one effective teacher. Did you notice how I showed my voice about the evidence? So how are you going to do this? As always, you're going to use the various strategies that we've been practicing to write your A and your C. After you have those written down, you need to push your thinking and ask yourself, do I agree or disagree with the topic and why? Sometimes you're not going to have a choice, like in maybe a debate, you're going to have a side that you are assigned to. And so maybe you disagree, but you're going to have to agree. This is tough, but it's still important to think about what side you're really on. You can also push your thinking by asking, from my perspective, what do I think of the claim? What do I think of the evidence? And finally, you can push your thinking by saying, what's my opinion on this evidence? Then you're going to ace your response by using one of these sentence starters to elaborate. You can use, in my opinion, I disagree with, or I agree with, I believe, or from my perspective. Notice you are using I and my because this is your voice that we are elaborating with. So let's look at an example about social media. Someone asks, does social media, has it improved our society? So you have to make a claim. You've made the claim that social media has not improved our society. You're going to cite a fact. One reason is that some people have used it as a platform to hurt others. That is a fact. That is something that can be proven. Now, before we elaborate, you need to push your own thinking. What is your perspective on this evidence? Think about it. What do you think about people using social media to hurt others? Do you agree that that is something that it's used for? Do you disagree? Think about it. Remember that you're trying to connect your evidence to your answer. So even if you disagree with the evidence given, your job is still to connect it. So that might be a little tougher if you disagree. So I write, in my opinion, the amount of pain a person can feel from social media is not worth the small benefits that it can bring. Notice how I'm using my opinion here. This isn't a fact. This is something that I think, I believe. It could be different from what another person thinks or believes. I could also elaborate that same exact A and C by saying, from my perspective, there should be a way to penalize people who use social media to be hurtful or disruptive. Or I could say, in my opinion, misuse of social media should be treated like a punishable crime. Now I want you to try. I want you to answer the same question, but in positive. Has social media improved our society? I want you to think of it this way. Yes, social media has improved our society. Now I want you to cite some evidence. What is one fact that proves that social media has improved our society? Think about that and write your evidence using the sentence starter. One reason is. You might have come up with something different, but I wrote, one reason is that people who have lost touch can connect with each other. Now, I have to elaborate my thinking. I have to push my thinking. What do I think about this evidence, this fact here, that people who have lost touch can connect with each other? Do I think that's important? And if I think it's important, why? Then I'm going to elaborate using from my perspective. Go ahead and push your thinking and write your elaboration sentence to this ACE response using the sentence starter from my perspective. You can also use in my opinion if you'd like. All right. Now, maybe you wrote something to the effect of, in my opinion, it is really important to expand and grow your network, and the more people you can be in touch with, the better. Go ahead and try one more. Should schools require students to wear uniforms? I want you guys to do this entire one on your own. I want you to answer using the sentence starter, I think. So either you think schools should require students to wear uniforms, or you do not think that schools should require students to wear uniforms. Then I want you to give me a fact that supports your answer using the sentence starter, one reason. Then push your think. Think about the evidence that you gave. Think about the fact that you just wrote and elaborate using the sentence starter from my perspective or in my opinion. Do this now. Good. I'm sure we all have different answers, but here's an example response written in ACE to the question, should schools require students to wear uniforms? I wrote, I think schools should not require students to wear uniforms. One reason is that it takes away a student's individuality. In my opinion, it is beautiful to see everyone express themselves through fashion and choice. So, this is elaborating using your own voice. The only time it's really acceptable to use this as elaboration is when you're trying to persuade a reader or listener of your opinion or your claim.